Good afternoon, everybody. I hope it is the afternoon wherever you are. My name is Wiseman. My surname is Mavundla, and I am the Civic Tech Innovation Networks Manager. And welcome to the African Union Partnership Building to Sustain Civic Tech Solution as part of their AUCTF program. So I think just to give perhaps a brief background on maybe perhaps what CTI is and how we're working together with the AU and GIZ and also Shahidi as our implementing partners. I'll just give you an overall summary of that. So at the Civic Tech Innovation Network, we work with people who have an interest in actually harnessing the nexus between technology and active civism. So activism. So what happens there is that we bring in your researchers, tech enthusiasts, policymakers into a room and trying to find solution and stay abreast of all the new technological advancements within the civic tech space. And then we were awarded by the African Union and GIZ to roll out and implement the AUCTF 2.0 program. And we don't work by ourselves, but we work with our implementing partner, Ushahidi, and I'm sure you'll be hearing maybe some more about them. I think, but more than anything, enjoy the webinar and also just engage when we go into breakout rooms. And then from there, we'll be able to share and deliberate as a group of really what came out in those breakout rooms as well. But what I'll do now, I'll just hand it over to the AUCTF project lead, which is Siphelele Ntombela, who will just briefly give us maybe why we're here today and what is it that really we seek to achieve today with the community that is joining us here. Sway, over to you.
Thank you so much, Wiseman. Good day, everybody. As Wiseman has said, my name is Siphelele Ntombela, and I'm the project lead for the African Union Civic Tech Fund. And really why we are here today is because collaborations are a huge part of the work of civic tech organizations, and partnership building for us has been highlighted as one of the key strategies that are really important for sustaining and even scaling civic tech solutions. So we obviously are in a one-year program with the African Union Civic Tech Fund grantees who are still in their year of residence, if I can call it that. And these are one of the partnership building. One of the key modules is around partnership building and for the grantees to be able to get some insights in terms of the experiences, but also gaining some technical expertise and insights or best practices that they can also action into their work. Now, we also realize that while the capacity building has mostly been confined to the African Union Civic Tech Fund grantees, we really wanted to open this session up today in the spirit of partnership, collaboration, community building, and really just get to interact amongst ourselves as colleagues in the civic tech innovation space, and also to understand the different types of partnerships that exist and the different options that are available, whether it's partnering with the public sector, the private sector, or civil society organizations and research organizations. So really with the session, we just want to connect and speak about these different experiences. We'll hear from the grantees in a moment, but also to hear from our Masterclass facilitator on how partnership building can work for civic tech organizations. What are the strategies and best practices that they can also implement in their practice? So I just want to hand over quickly to Mohammed Kimbuga from the AU-GIZ partnership, and he'll tell us a bit more about that. But just to give us a brief overview of where the AUCTF project fits into the wider digital transformation strategy and ambitions that the African Union has. So over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you so much, Siwe. Not the best time of day to speak after a very long, hot day in Addis Ababa, but in the spirit of partnership building, I'll definitely make a few remarks. Good evening, everyone. Like you already heard, my name is Mohammed Shimbwe, and I want to start off by saying that the AU Civic Tech Fund is a Pan-African initiative of the Women, Gender and Youth Directorate of the African Union in partnership with the GIZ African Union as well as CTIN and Ushahidi, and it seeks to support initiatives and projects that strengthen citizen engagement and participation through innovative approaches and digital technologies. So we are currently in the second cohort of the AU Civic Tech Fund, and this is going to span over 12 months, where each of the 15 innovation beneficiaries is receiving financial support as well as capacity building to catalyze and scale their civic tech innovations for transformative citizen participation across the continent. The EU Civic Tech Fund is rooted in the human-centered spirit of the continental, rather the Agenda 2063. Agenda 2063 is human-centered, especially Aspiration 6, which puts the development of this continent in the hands of the people, both as contributors and beneficiaries. And this means citizen engagement and participation are core aspects of this aspiration. But additionally, citizen engagement is a core element of the 1 Million Next Level initiative, which was launched by the chairperson of the African Union Commission to reach out to at least 300 million young people by 2030 with opportunities in the so-called 4Es plus H, which is engagement, education, entrepreneurship, education, and health and well-being. So engagement is also a core aspect of the 1 Million Next Level initiative, and as such, the AU Civic Tech Fund initiatives that fuel the success of these ambitious aspirations, the success of Agenda 2063, the success of the digital transformation strategy for Africa, but also the success of the 1 Million Next Level initiative, or partnership with the GIZ and CTIN enables us to leverage functional ecosystems and also opens up a pool of resources, both financial and technical, for impactful, scalable success of the AU Civic Tech Fund. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mohammed, for actually sharing that brief background on the AUCTF. And I think really, as Sway and Mohammed have really spoken and given like a brief background, partnership building is actually very key in actually sustaining the civic tech initiatives, because in actual fact, it helps to actually create the network of support, resources, and sometimes expertise that are needed in actually running this civic tech project that actually address social, political, and community issues. And I think whenever a project focuses on those issues, which are social, political, economic, and actually community-based issues, they often require collaboration across various sectors and stakeholders, which may involve government, nonprofit, private sector, private companies, and including citizens as well, because a big part of AUCTF is actually getting citizens and making them a part of the process, and taking part in their decision making, in their government and decision making in their democracy. So I think what we'll do now, we will go to Ahmed, and we're moving into a part where we want to hear about their experiences of these, civic techers who are on the ground and working and actually being part of the AUCTF program. So we have three grantees that will be actually sharing their experiences. And perhaps maybe they can tell us if there are any partnership that they've made as a part of the program, or how do they then, work around those issues. So I think what I will do now, I'll ask Ahmed to come in and then share his part and his experiences.
So, hi everyone, very happy to be here with you. I am Ahmed from Tunisia, from the other side of Africa, like the northern tip, and I'm very happy to be here to share with you some of the insights or some of our experience at Arqam, which is figures or statistics in Arabic. And the most important thing for us in order to establish partnership is really to drive or to create more value to our communities, both our own community in Arqam, but also the community of our partners. So this is how we drive like this kind of partnership Of course, they should be based at the same time on values and also at we share like some the same long-term aspirations. At Arqam, we are very happy also to be part of the Open Government Partnership Program, which involves directly like the presidency of the government. And this partnership allowed us to connect better with a lot of public institutions, with, for example, the National Institute of Statistics, the National Instance for Access to Information, and being one of the good practice drivers in the OGP initiatives help us also to be challenging and help also institutions to leverage existing tools that they don't know about. For example, AI, artificial intelligence for leaders that are not how to say it, very conscious of the potential and how it can help them do their work better or showcase what they already have done. And being part of the network, the CTIN network, and this program especially help us a lot connect with other type of programs. For example, the 2063 agenda of the African Union, where we set a clear vision for Arqam to be the hub for the African Renaissance, because we noticed at the African level that we do a lot of efforts, we have a lot of impact. Unfortunately, we struggle to have the big picture and especially to do comparison between countries and initiatives, do some benchmarks, and hopefully Arqam is here to bridge this gap. Today we started with 3 countries, actually 4 countries. So we started with Tunisia, and then we scaled in Senegal, Benin, and Ivory Coast. So we covered thousands of statistics and data sets. Of course, we put them available for you to use and explore. And of course, they are primarily there to help also our partners to drive and to provide value to their communities as well.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, for actually sharing your experiences. And I think it's actually very refreshing to hear from people who are actually working on the ground and applying these techniques as well. I think perhaps what I'll do is just take all of the grantees, and then we can maybe ask 2 or 3 questions after everyone has gave maybe their 5-minute presentations. I'd like to actually call on Eugenio to start sharing.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ogieomo Yvonne from Mozambique. I'm heading the organization called Equip Mozambique. We actually work with the young people in Mozambique, or young leaders in Mozambique, to bring innovative solutions to the problems that we face on a daily basis. And one of the problems that we are actually solving through the UCTF is on the side of the rule of law as well as human rights. We saw that the majority of the people in Mozambique have got little or less knowledge about the Mozambican law, not because they are not aware that they exist, but the way it is written, it's really difficult for a layman to understand. So we created a project whereby through tech innovations, we can simplify the Mozambican laws to a point whereby every layman can understand. Putting in mind that we also have people who doesn't have gadgets that are compatible to the application apps and internet and stuff. So we also created a version that is also capable to reach people with the information that we intend to reach with the people. All this is possible. It's getting possible because of the partnership that we actually creating along the way. We have created partnership with government institutions from different ministries. This is to also help us to reach the people in the government institutions like schools, hospitals, and other government-related institutions. We also have created partnerships with religious-based organizations. We know that people have got different religious affiliations. So creating partnership with different religious-based organizations also has helped us to reach more people with the Mozambican laws in its simplest form. We have seen that partnering with different organizations, institutions, has brought us a lot of progress throughout the project. We have come to a point whereby at times we actually have to limit our outreaches just to give us time to be composed and to reach more people, because each and every partner that we have integrated with, they always want to continue with the partnership. They want to make sure that the project is getting to the focus of their ground of work as well. And we also, through partnership, we have come to a point whereby we value or evaluate the partnerships that we create. We see the levels of connection through the work that we do, making sure that whatever partnership that we create, it also benefits both entities, Equip Mozambique, as well as the partners. We don't, well, in some points, we get in touch with those who just want to win and on our side lose. But we make sure that our partnership always is on a win-win basis. We get to deliver what we have, and they get to deliver what they have. But the main focus and the values of each entity is well respected throughout the process. And one of the things that we also value is each time we create a partnership, we make sure that the details of the partnership or the terms of reference of the partnership is well clear on both sides. This helps us not to bring out unnecessary expectations from other partners, or the other partners are expecting us things that we are not able to provide them. And through the project or throughout the timeline, we make sure that we have time to evaluate the progress to see if our relationship is healthy and address whatever challenges that we are facing, or noting out the success that we are achieving. And one of the main things that we have put in importance is giving ourselves credit where it's does something good, we give them credit. If we do something good, our partners give us credit. But all the thing that we put in much consideration is the process of reaching out to the focus of the partnership. And throughout the partnership, we make sure that it doesn't end when Eugene is no longer the national director of Equip Mozambique, or whoever is the director of the other organization is not there. We make sure that our partnership is always on a basis of continuity. If I am to go, then the terms of reference are well nurtured and are well respected, then they can continue. And throughout the partnership as well, we make sure that the people or the leaders that we engage with, they are trained in a way that they can continue holding the partnership through and through till the focus and project is achieved. One of the important things that we value in creating partnerships is each partner that we get in partnership with, we make sure that we are building a network, not only for the two entities, but also with the other partners that are partnered. And also, we create an environment of trust and responsibility. We have a lot in common with most of our partners. We also have some partners that at times we feel that they are the ones who are always doing the right thing. But at the end, we value ourselves and see that it's not only them, but also us providing our services and joining efforts to reach our intended goals. I'll share one of such partners. Mozambique has got poor infrastructures, but our project is there to include everyone. So in some places, it's very difficult to reach by road. It takes hours or days to reach. And we have got this partner who offers us flights or helicopter flights to those secluded places. And in also communities, we have got people who can disseminate the law to the people. But on the other side, just speaking can become monotonous. So we have got a partner who does dramas and theater, but at the same time introducing the law to the people. So what we value most is the focus, the goal that we intend to reach, and making sure that we get the right partners for the right job. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eugenio. And I think I liked how you stressed how when you're getting into these partnerships, you also think about the longevity and long-term, sustainability of them. But I think maybe let's go forward to take on Edith, and then we can ask one or two questions to you guys. Edith, are you ready?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edith Augustine, and I work as the programs manager with the Restored Heart Foundation. And our initiative is with the Teacher Bank Project. So the Teacher Bank Project is an initiative of the Restored Heart Foundation where we connect teachers in schools in rural communities that experience teacher shortages. So the goal is to improve education and provide employment opportunities for young people. Our civic tech innovation that the AUCTF 2.0 is funding is the development of an innovation, an app innovation, where we are leveraging tech innovation to streamline the recruitment processes and also provide a digital platform for learning opportunities for both our teachers, students, and volunteers outside of connecting, using that as a platform where teachers or young people rather in Nigeria that are looking for employment can open profiles. Likewise, the schools, and we connect them with that. So for us, the role, partnership play a very huge role in the implementation of our project, right? So when it comes to resource mobilization, like with government agencies and private organizations, we're able to secure financial aid, whether with private individuals to support the implementation of our project, because we as an organization provide accommodation and stipends alongside learning opportunities for the student. This is to ensure that these teachers stay back in the schools, as opposed to how it is before, where they don't have the right resources or opportunities or even infrastructures that allow them fully be present for the students that they teach. So through resource mobilization, we're able to build partnership through that, and also capacity building. We partner with teacher training institutions or organizations, and they provide learning courses or even courses or training programs for our teachers in the different ways that they are supposed to upskill themselves as teachers, learning how to manage a classroom, learning the peculiarities of the communities that allows them to be able to fit in properly into these schools. So, and also through partnership, we are able to effectively engage with the community. So local partnership with community leaders and grassroots organizations or other, community-based organizations, we're able to build trust now with the people, parents of these children, and even with the students in the schools. And it makes it easy also for us, community engagement, to identify schools that have, we're able to identify schools that have issues that our project, address. And so in ways that we drive meaningful partnership is, first of all, I think it is important to identify your goals. So for us, we know the specific goals that our project is aiming to achieve, right? So this helps us know the right people to connect with, to approach. And that leads me to now identifying aligned partners that align with your goals and objectives and the things that we want to achieve, our goals and objectives. And also we build meaningful relationships with our partners. That is how we create sustainable partnerships. So it's not just transactions. We want to build meaningful relationships with our partners for sustainability. And we also try to always communicate a strong value proposition. So like these are the things that we're doing, and we articulate the impact, and it just helps us create how we want our partners to be involved and how they can contribute to aiding us to, address the issues that we want to address. And then for corporations, right? So we also leverage on CSR alignment. So we meet with private or corporate organizations that have corporate social responsibility fund that aligns with what we're doing. So we leverage that also to drive meaningful partnerships. So these are like some of the ways we do. We also leverage data and stories from the community, experiences from these schools, stories from the students, from the children. We leverage all of this also to build meaningful partnerships. So that'll be all from our end, the Restored Heart Foundation. Thank you, Wiseman.
Thank you so much, Edith. And I think you just took out the question that I had in terms of identifying suitable partnership. And I think because the three of you have actually touched on points, what I would like to do, maybe one person out of the three of you can maybe share, maybe in your experience, when you're getting into a partnership with somebody, there needs to be an element of trust and transparency. But maybe in your experience, do you then think trust and transparency actually plays a part in the success of the partnership? And then perhaps how have you maybe fostered that element of trust and transparency earlier on in any collaboration that maybe you've had? Just one between Edith, Ahmed, or Eugenio, and you've got 2 minutes to answer this.
Okay, I'll go first. So quickly, this actually comes up a lot during partnership conversations. So in our experience, what we normally get asked is they would want to go to the schools to actually, so while we share data, so when I said the last point I talked about was leveraging data and stories. So we have a compilation of our activities and engagements with the school, the student, the teachers. So most times prospective partners would want to actually go to the schools to validate the information. So there's a place also of data validation and information validation. So that also plays a role because it's like seeing, like there's nothing to hide pretty much, and we have the data to present. But sometimes they want to go an extra mile to go to these schools or even converse with the students in terms of like impact and how things had been before the implementation of our project and what things look like, even with the students. So in so doing, then it builds that trust, and then they're able to see that there's actual impact here, and then we can proceed with partnerships. So in our experience, this is how it has gone before, and how we're able to move past that.
Thank you so much, Edith, for sharing your experiences. I think because we're in a room filled with a lot of experts and expertise, I think we're going into a part where, because we want to hear from everybody and just to know if maybe are you guys experiencing common pitfalls or challenges that you've seen in perhaps building and maintaining these partnerships within the civic tech or maybe the private sector or the public sector as well. So what we'll do now, you'll be prompted to join you'll be joining the breakaway rooms, where you'll be continuing the discussion actually on maybe the barriers and actually the challenges and how maybe these barriers and challenges can actually be avoided. So I think maybe you'll see on the breakaway rooms where it'll prompt on your screen to join, either if you're in the civic tech space, and then you can take and join. They will meet here in 15 minutes once you've done with the discussions. We can all click on the breakout rooms.
I think if you just scroll down on the pop-up, you'll see 3 options, one for the private sector, public sector, and civil society. I had to scroll down. So just scroll down, then you can choose the room that you want to go into.
In about 30 seconds, I will be assigning people randomly. Those who have not chosen, please choose in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, because for me, I couldn't see the options to join. So
who's
yeah,
speaking? Sorry, who's this?
Diruk Samuel, so you can assign it to society.
Okay, I've assigned it to public sector. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Excuse me, I did not see the. Okay.
This is Abdul. Thank you so much. You have already been assigned, it seems. to private sector.
Hi, likewise, I did not, this is Sydney. I did not see the rooms to go to, so could you please assign me one?
I've assigned you to public sector as well. Thank you. I think that's everyone. Shut down now, guys.
I'm okay. I'll join civil society.
Okay, sure.
That went in person to reach out to people so that they are able to build relationships in that way. And then the last thing I would say, in some contexts, there are different actors that may work to censor information. And the example was used from Kenya, where after the protests that were led by the youth around the finance bill in Kenya, the government was able to censor information through various ways, and that's a challenge in building long-term partnerships, and also relates to how to build trust between the civil society and particularly national government in some context in Africa. So I think that's a summary of our discussion.
Thank you so much, yes, for actually packing it up and sharing the summaries and examples that you guys used within your breakaway room. I think perhaps we can just take the other breakout room, maybe on private sector. And then if you guys have questions for each, maybe we can go through that. Rhoda?
Thanks, Wiseman. For us in the private sector, it's pretty contextual depending on the country. We had experiences from Uganda, Nigeria, and South Africa. In Uganda, we have the government that is very pro-tech organization, civic tech organization. So if you have a tech component, then the government is pretty much willing to support you. And especially if you are coming across as a social enterprise as opposed to a for-profit one, then the government would be quite willing to support you. Contrary in Nigeria, whereby tech is seen as a difficult space or seen stereotypically as difficult, especially with reference to AI, whereby we had one of our members talking about how it is difficult for them to introduce AI into the education system. There's a lot of negative stereotypes concerning AI. So that's a barrier that they are having to fight and counter. Additionally, we had someone from Zimbabwe who is also using the education space to raise awareness around civic rights, but civic rights is a very delicate situation to talk about in a lot of our countries here in Africa. He has already mentioned here in Kenya, where civic rights are continuously being stifled. So the barriers that were shared, there's that stereotypical negative connotations with AI, funding challenges, low literacy, digital low literacy levels. But on the flip side, we have governments that are supportive of social enterprises in the tech space. And then we have legislation, for example, in South Africa, that are supportive of small businesses that mandate larger organizations to partner with smaller businesses. So I would say on the positive side, governments are trying to affirm and support civic tech organizations. And on the flip side, also, there are the barriers that exist on a continental wide, such as the low digital literacy rates. Thanks, Wiseman.
Thank you so much, Rhoda. I think maybe a lot of things actually came out as well of your breakup room, which is quite exciting. And I think maybe we can maybe see how it differs from region to region in terms of the challenges that maybe you guys actually encounter in building these partnerships as well. So I think maybe we should take the last breakout room, and perhaps after we can ask one or two questions and we can move to the next section. Siwe?
Thanks, Wiseman. So we had, I guess, the privilege of getting a perspective from the African Union, which kind of represents all of our governments, and just getting a sense of the way that the African Union also approaches partnerships as a public organization. And what came out really was about the need to get very specific. I think Edith might have mentioned earlier just about the alignment towards the certain streams or the themes that the certain organization works with. And this will also require you to get very specific in terms of the focus areas and in terms of establishing thematic partnerships, which is also I guess the partnership of the African Union and Civic Tech Fund is a very specific thematic partnership of the Women and Gender and Youth Directorate. There was also a mention of partnering with African-led organizations. Now, I think obviously within the civic tech space, there's a lot of maybe funding opportunities that may come from international or Western-based organizations. But for the African Union, just highlighting the need to partner with African-led organizations, which we are also seeing as an opportunity for the civic tech organizations. We heard about the regional economic communities, which are essentially region-based programs essentially that are trying to partner with local community based organizations. Now, the challenge with trying to partner with these regional bodies is around even just understanding what they are doing. So our governments can tend to be quite complex and we don't know how they work or how to engage with them. Or the other part is about the communication, whether when there are opportunities, we might not have sight of them, we don't know about them, maybe they are not communicated as widely. So there's also that part in terms of some of the limitations. But one of the other members of our breakout room was just sharing about partnering with service providers. So that would also be those organizations that are already kind of experts in the field that you want to expand into, and then they can kind of take on the lead role in terms of that, which is also another way about partnerships, just highlighting the fact that it's not always financial transactions, but there's maybe resources or skills, spaces, other forms of resources that can be traded so that there's a win-win situation. Thanks, Wiseman.
Thank you so much, Siwe. I think that was also remarkable. And maybe perhaps while I still have you here, while maybe the other representatives of the other breakout rooms were talking, was there anything that maybe sparked your thoughts? Or if any of you guys have questions that you want maybe to ask, maybe we can give 1 minute for you guys to do that before we take a break. Anyone who'd like to ask, maybe someone who was in the public sector or the civil society or the private sector, or we are quite good with what has came out, or if there's anything that maybe you noted as a commonality or difference between these three sectors.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, Matthew, I can hear you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I have a little bit quite challenge that I want to just make some clarity about that and have some 3 questions. But before I ask for the challenge, I want to ask my questions before. And my first question is, what are some of the partners? What are some of the partnerships that is available for NGOs in Africa to partnership with? And 2, how can I identify the partnership that aligns with my organization goals? And my last question is, what are some of the major focus of partnership building tech? And that's all my questions. And my challenge is this. It's about, can you hear me?
Yes, Matthew, I've gotten your questions, and I want to say that actually your questions perhaps might be answered in the next section when Yvonne is giving her masterclass. And I think perhaps those questions I'll keep with myself, and then we can be able to respond to those once Yvonne has actually started giving her masterclass. So I think maybe let's hold them, and I've written them down on the notepad as well. Once Yvonne is done, then we can take all those questions and see what she has to say for that, in also our Q&A section at the end. But thank you so much, Matthew, for coming forward with those questions. Thank you. I think now what we can do is hand it over to Yvonne Eweka to give her masterclass on interactive masterclass on how to build strategic partnerships. And Yvonne is actually working with the CC-Hub. I'll give it over to Yvonne.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, from wherever you're joining us from. My name is Yvonne Eweka. I work at CC-Hub, a tech and innovation organization in Nigeria, with offices across Kenya, Rwanda, Namibia, and we also run projects in over 15 countries in Africa. Today, I'll be sharing on partnership building to sustain civic tech solution. And in today's class, I've heard from the civil society breakout room, which I joined, and also a recap from the other breakout rooms. And it's interesting to know that we are all, in one way or the other, knowledgeable about what partnership is. So I would just be sharing more insight on how partnerships should be done, what has worked for us as an organization, and lots more. So this is the outline of what we're looking at today. As we all know, civic tech refers to the use of technology to enhance relationship between citizens and government. Please, can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. To build
We can hear
successful
you.
partnership and effective partnership, there are things to take into consideration as civic tech organization or as small startups or as a non-profit owner. So today we'll be looking at definition of some concepts, the techniques that can be used to identify partnership, how to effectively grow a partnership with an organization or an individual, and also look at a scenario that we'll be looking at today through a very short video to sort of encapsulate everything I'll be talking about here today. So I know most times the word partnership and collaboration is used interchangeably, but in reality, they are not the same words. So today we'll be looking at what are the key differences. So if you are approaching someone or an organization for partnership, it's very clear that it's very important that you are clear about what you really want. If it's a partnership and collaboration. So partnership sort of is a long-term relationship that you're building with either an organization or an individual to action out a particular impact or solution as a civic tech organization. So when you're talking about partnership, you're talking about a long-term commitment that needs to be formalized. Whereas a collaboration is just maybe you are having an event and you want an organization to come on board to just action at that event towards that particular goal. So it's just like an activity focused. For a partnership, you need to be very clear about the scope of the partnership and also the depth of what needs to be integrated into that partnership as a civic tech innovator. Also, you need to consider that in collaboration, accountability is not a big deal, but in partnership, accountability is key for having a successful partnership. You need to be accountable, you need to be transparent, and you need to be sure that all the legal documents and every other thing that streamlines what the partnership is all about is taken into consideration. Also, because money is always involved in projects, you need to be very clear when you're going into partnership to say, how do we allocate resources, either human resources, financial resources, or whatever resources is available. Whereas in collaboration, there might not be spelled out mode of resource allocation. And also decision making, we have power play comes up most times when you're looking at partnership, who would lead the project, who is bringing the large chunk of fund, who will be the main face of this partnership, whosoever is funding us and all that. So these are main issues that we should look at when we are having talks about collaboration. So that means that you need to be very clear whether you are requesting a collaboration or you are requesting a partnership, because it's important that these distinctions are made to help us know the level of commitment we are putting into the partnership or the collaboration we are going into, because it is important to give clarity for both parties and whatever that they'll be doing in the partnership or in the collaboration, so that expectations are not cut short. So every person's expectations is met. Also, there are techniques to identify partnership as an early stage innovator of organization. I'm glad that some people spoke about value proposition in the room that I joined, and also during the introduction of this meeting. You need to be clear about your value proposition. What is in it for me? Why is this important for me? What value do I bring into this partnership as an organization? You need to be clear that you are not entering a partnership because you want to take from the other party rather than being a mutually beneficial venture. So furthering successful collaboration demands us to define the approach that we want to follow in that partnership. And we need to genuinely participate in every partnership that we are into. It has to be mutually beneficial, whether it's with individuals, private sector, civil society that you're partnering with. Your intentions need to be genuine. So you need to sit down as a civic tech organization. I know on this call we are not all civic tech because it's open to the public. So I will speak broadly to just say whatever partnership you are going into, whether you are in the private sector, or a civic tech organization, or you are just a non-profit, you need to sit down and look at what is the value proposition for this that I'm going into. So that's one way that you can sit down at the beginning of the year, for instance. You already know your goals for the year as an organization. You have your strategic plan. You need to be able to sit down to know, okay, if I go to this organization, XYZ, what value am I really bringing to them? Am I just going to meet them because I feel they are the big shots in town, they have the money to fund the project, or I'll be able to sell my initiative and the value of that solution to them so I can get their buy-in. So that's one technique that you can use to identify if the partnership you are seeking aligns with the person that you are seeking the partnership from. Also, another technique you can use is research and mapping. You need to be able to map out the partnership that you want. You can't just go into the pool and start looking for partners. If your goals are clear as an organization, if your visions are clear, you need to look at which organization is funding what and what type of partnerships are this organization funding. Every organization have a track record. They have a social media page. You can access them on their website and look at what's the funding style of this organization. Do they align with our goals? For instance, if you are working on an education project, you need to be clear about the organization you're going to map out for your education programs that are coming up. So you cannot have like misaligned goals. So it's very important that you do a deep research of whoever you're partnering with. And it's also important that in your research, you are clear about legal bindings for each organization you are working in. For instance, it could be in your country or even abroad. What are the regulations in those countries that would guide this partnership that I need to adhere to if I come on board as an organization? What tools do I also need to assess these people that I want to meet? And for instance, you can also use your code list to meet people. For instance, you have a friend who has an access to some of the people you have penned down, guide you in making decision on how to meet up with these people, how to strike a meeting with them and share what you have to offer from the partnership with them. And also note that it's not everyone that you approach that will say a yes. So you need also to be ready for the no's when they come, because every organization at the beginning of the year set out their goals, their objective, their vision for the year. If you don't approach them in the way that makes it look like what you are doing aligns with their goal, there's also a tendency that that partnership may be turned down, or it might not just be the right time for that partnership. You also have to look at your capacity and capability in terms of being your due diligence. As a startup, some of us don't have our books clean, we don't have proper documentation with what we have done so far. Some of us don't even have a website. I'm speaking from experience. It's important that you put all these things into consideration while you're identifying who should partner with you. For instance, you might have a partner whose initiative aligns with your values and your goals, but at the same time, your books are not intact. When they do their due diligence, they find out, oh, we can't partner with this person because we are very transparent, we're accountable, we want people who are diligent with whatever they are committed to and all that. And also remember that you need to have a strong board that guides the initiative you are doing. You don't wake up every morning with different initiatives in your head. Whatever you're setting out to do for the year must be clear and very, very, have a roadmap of what you are doing. So even if you are woken up in the middle of the night to say, oh, I just met somebody who wants to meet you right now, you can speak about what you are doing in your organization and how your goal aligns with what the person is doing. Also, it's also very good for us to initiate and leverage our warm lists. We have people in our contacts, in our communities, in our networks in the industry who we know could introduce us to our potential partners. That's a very important thing to do. For instance, where we are making friendship in the industry, because I remember listening to somebody during the from Kenya who spoke about lack of access and gatekeeping. There are gatekeepers in this industry. So you need to be introduced sometimes to be able to break into some partnership, yes, whether with individuals, private sector, and everything. But most importantly, while identifying these techniques, it's important for you to note that not all partnership or all people you approach will say a yes to you. So you need also to be ready for the no's. And for us to forge a strategic partnership that is effective, there are some things that we need to do. We must be strategic in everything that we are doing and make sure that our goals aligns either with whether we are partnering with the person that is introducing us. For instance, if you have someone in your warm list, for instance, who is to introduce you, you need to be sure that the person understands the value you bring to the table, the person understands your initiative. For instance, if you have a friend or a relationship with someone who doesn't even understand what you're all about as an organization, the person will not be able to sell you well to a potential partner. So you need to be very clear that the person who is the linkage between you and the partner also understands the value that you bring to the table and the synergy between you and the potential partner. So here are some of the methods that we can use to effective partnership as Civic Tech organization. For instance, I've spoken about partnership, how we can identify it, but this is taking it further down to say, what are the methods that I can use? For instance, you need to identify strategic partnership, either with CSOs, with governments, with tech companies, with educational institutions, or with individuals. You need to be very, very strategic to be sure that whatever partnership that you are doing aligns with their goal, either as funding organization or with the advocacy events that you are partnering with. And also, you need to be able to be part of the co-creation process. For instance, if you have forged a partnership with an organization or a funder or a government, you need to be part of the process. You don't just sit and say, "Oh, we've signed this document, everybody go to sleep." You need to sit down and co-create the idea of that project or that program together. You need to co-design that civic solution so that when you are running the project or the program, there is that sense of ownership. You know that we are in this together and it's not just one-sided. Partnership should help us to solve the missing puzzle in our impact story. And I believe that is why we all need partnership, because we can't all do it alone. We need to work as a team. We need to work as collective rather than working in silos. So you need to identify strategic partnership and ensure that you are part and parcel of the co-creation process of that strategy. So for instance, at CC-Hub, when we came the Go Vote project in 2019, we didn't just assume that, oh, there is a gap between government and citizen in terms of election information. We actually sat down with citizens who we know are the end beneficiary of what we're going to do, and had a co-creation session with them to really get in-depth understanding of what we are doing so that the partnership does not fail from the side of the funder, from our side, and also from the side of the citizens. Also, you need to build collective and collaborative process. You need to define the metric. You need to look at what's the comms strategy that we are going to be using to build this partnership that we have just entered into. This process helps us to align our vision better, to ensure that it is mutually beneficial, and also build trust. Not just building trust, it helps us to deepen our relationship and have our deliverables clearly spelled out. So it's important that for you to build an effective partnership, for instance, I think Machi from Ghana spoke about some challenges they have in the Ghana civic space. And this, I think, is very, very important in terms of building collaborative projects. You can't expect someone to just buy into a project you sat alone, crafted, designed, and brought to the person's table to say, I want you to partner, that person's input needs to be seeked. You need to seek their input. You need them to have a second eye to that project or the programs that you have brought to them to partner with you with. And you also need to be flexible to the point that if they feel there is need to add other components, you are able to adapt quickly and see the reason why you need to adapt for the partnership to be seamless. Also, you need to be transparent and you need to build trust. I think in every room, that stood out in every room from the recap. For anybody to partner with you, they need to be sure that you'll be trusted, you'll be transparent. For instance, we have heard of stories of civic innovators who came up with a solution, and somewhere along the line, they got a huge funding for the project. The next thing, they abandoned the project and they travel. There's something we call Japa in Nigeria. It means to travel abroad. And that is there. No funder will trust you anymore. In short, you have already shut the door for those coming behind you because they'll feel, oh, this is the way upcoming startups, civic tech innovators behave in the space. So we can't trust them with money. So that is why you see most times funding go to the big shots in the industry because they've worked with them over time, they've built trust, and they know that they can keep accountability very clean, their books are clean and everything. So for you to be able to break into the space and have effective partnership, even no matter how small you feel your organization is, whether you're 2 years old or 3 years old, you can partner with big organizations if you have a good strategy for partnership, if you are transparent, and if you are trustworthy. And also, if the person that is introducing you from your warm list, for instance, can vouch for you and you have what to show. For instance, some people say they are civic innovators. They don't have a website and you want somebody to fund you with $10 million. It can't happen. Nobody will put their money down because you don't even have a trace. You don't even have a digital presence. So how do I trust you? How do I track the work that you have done? So before funding comes, what are you doing? Before people come to partner with you, before you seek partnership of others into your project or into your program or your initiative, you need to have something going to show as a proof to say, this is what I'm building, and this is how I think you can come in to further scale the impact of this project. Also, communication is very, very key to effective partnership building. For instance, if you are set out for a partnership, you need to be clear, you need to put communication strategy in place, you need to look for a tool that is collaborative for both organizations. For instance, if you are collaborating with an organization who is not in your country, who is abroad, you need to look for what tools work for both of you. For instance, WhatsApp does not work in all countries. So if you are creating a group on WhatsApp, for instance, that person might not be able to join. So you need to look for a platform, maybe a Slack platform or other platform, where you can collaborate, communicate effectively and easily. And shouldn't be the type of person or organization that wants to partner, and when the deal is sealed, you just switch off your phone. There's a meeting coming up, don't show up. Those are signs that shows lack of trust and lack of diligence to work. So you must follow through on all partnership agreements, which you have signed in your legal agreement that is binding in the partnership. Because, like I said before, partnership is different from collaboration. Collaboration is a one-time activity or event. Partnership is a series of activities that tends towards making impact in the long run or on a future initiative or program. You must commit to the expected goal in your deliverable. For instance, you cannot create a WhatsApp group and expect other people to be in the meeting and they are not there. So you need to be very clear. What are the goals we have agreed to? What are the objectives of this program we are doing? And what are the deliverables? What are the timelines? If in every quarter agree that this is the output for this quarter, you need to be communicate that consistently to your team and make sure that you achieve it for that partnership to be successful, because it may not be a one-off, your success in this project compared to other projects. So it's important that you treat every partnership with diligence and with respect. You must show that you can be trusted, even with metrics. Do not fabricate figures. If, for instance, you went for an outreach or you went to do a demo of your solution somewhere and 10 people showed up, you shouldn't have a 0 to say 100 people show up. The pictures will contradict your report. So it's important that you should be trusted at every time and your communications are very, very clear and all that. Also, effective communication is not just about speaking on phone or meetings. You must be able to track every project and programs and updates and give accurate information during meeting. That helps for that build trust with you, with the partners that you have on board, whether with funders, whether with private organizations, and the rest. So also, to build effective, you must join networks, you must join communities. For instance, a lot of people are in motion but not in action. We are everywhere, but what do you do when you go out? What do you do when you're in communities? What do you do when you are in network? There are some people that are in network group, for instance, the Civic Tech Innovation Network West Africa. We have people who have been in that group. They've never said a word. And yet they would come tomorrow to say, I want you to partner. That relationship is not there. So it might not be an easy access compared to somebody who is always engaging in the group, who is always communicating, who is always very present and active. And also, you need to be able to tell your story to your community. If you find yourself in a group for social impact, you should be able to let people know what you are doing. Tell your stories, because nobody will tell your stories for you. And the power of data, you also need to be able to harness the power of data. Use data to tell your story, because people reason in pictures. Rather than having a very long video, in one slide or two, you can summarize all that you have done using the power of your data and storytelling. So it's important that we harness potentials in building successful networks and community that we belong to. And not just that, we also need to attend industry events. When you attend industry events, it's beyond just sitting down. And it's time for networking. That's where you meet quality people in the space. For instance, the Civic Tech Innovation Network Africa, convening in Johannesburg. Every time I go there, I see it as an opportunity to increase my contact list, to increase my network, to meet more people, to learn about what they are doing. Because partnership does not just start in a day. You need to build relationship over time for people to get your back in and trust you on any project or any partnership that you are bringing to them. So it's important that we give credibility to the work that we do and show that we can be trusted and amplify our work so that we can be visible for a meaningful partnership. Also, we need to develop a funding and sustainable funding model. Yes, we are a non-profit, we are CSOs, we are private sectors, we are funders. Everybody have a funding model. I'll be getting there shortly. But for you to have effective partnership, you need to be able to have a model that works for you in terms of funding that is sustainable beyond the funding from your donor. What are the other things that you can help to put in place that can help the partnership to scale forward beyond the project? You must pursue funding opportunities that are CIMITech focused, because you're a CIMITech organization. I mean, saying, oh, it's climate change that is on board now, it's trending. I want to switch to climate change. When, for instance, you are working on issues of elections and governance. If you must switch to climate change, you need to be able to show the distinct link between those two components. If not, people will not trust you. They will feel like you are very unstable and nobody wants to work with unstable people. So here's partnership frameworks. Some people touched on this during the first session, and I was very excited about it. There are different partnership frameworks that you can embrace as a civic tech organization, as a startup, and all that. Usually, there are intersections between these frameworks, or you can decide to pitch for anyone that works for you, depending on the stage that your organization is in. We have the public-private partnership, which is popularly known as PPP, and some of the organizations that uses this model, the World Bank, Afreximbank, Google, CC-Hub, Code for Africa, or Shahidi. They are one of the organizations that uses this framework. We also have the Ambush partnership. This is a Chinese model for marketing that people now use for partnership. Someone mentioned it somewhere along the line as sort of like not gatekeeping, but it's a way of breaking into spaces where ordinarily not have easy access to. So I'll give an instance. For instance, you have been trying to access, let's say, schools to show them a solution that you have built. For you to be able to use this partnership, you need to be able to let go of some immediate gratification. For instance, if you're ambushing a school, it sounds funny, ambush. If you're ambushing a school, you're ambushing a particular ecosystem. For you to be able to be trusted and for you to break into that partnership, you need to be able to give some things for free. For instance, if you approach a school who has been very difficult, so maybe the principal, head of school, or the ministry has been difficult. I bet you on this. If you go there and offer to teach them for free or to teach them how to use a particular solution for free, they would embrace it. So these are some of the frameworks that have worked for people. So you need to be able to think outside the box. There is no one size fits all in terms of the framework for partnership. For instance, for this, I've seen people use this ambush a lot and it works for them, but it doesn't also work for others. It depends on the scenario where you are using it. So if you are thinking of breaking into a place where you think this is what is going to work, please, you can use this mechanism. Offer for free. When they see your value, you might just end up being the vendor for that ministry for the whole of the time and all that. And they start to sign into your vendorship and start making money from there, or build even better partnership. They can even refer you to other schools or other institutions and all that, which will bring the return on investment that you are looking for in the long run. Also, there is corporate or CSOs and tech platform partnership. Also, CC-Hub, we use this a lot. We partner, for instance, on our Go Vote project. We partner with civil society organizations who we feel have the skills that we don't have as a tech innovation organization. We partner with them, Ushahidi, Leap Africa, Code for Africa. A lot of people also use this model. Also, we have the academic institution partnership. When you're approaching academic institution, what you used for CSOs or for public-private partnership might not work. So you need to understand the landscape, and that is why it is important for you to begin with mapping who you want to partner with. What techniques do you need to deploy to be able to assess these people? And before you know it, things will be in motion and you start getting the yeses that you want. Though not in all cases you will get yeses. For instance, for our action, Higher Education Institute at CC-Hub, we use the academic institution partnership. And that has given us even more platform for partnership with other institutions in countries where we currently are implementing programs. We also have the multi-stakeholder partnership and also community-driven partnership. For community-driven partnership, there are a lot of organizations who are serve, and as Civic Tech, we are trying to bridge the gap between citizens and government. For you to enter into a community, you need to get the buy-in of the stakeholders of this community, the gatekeepers, the informal networks that exist. So you need to be able to look at your project critically and look at who are the stakeholders in this project and how do I begin to approach them to partner with me. So you need to be, for instance, you are partnering with universities, with government, with private sectors and all that. You need to be very clear on what the value proposition is for them, whether it's education project, health project, or governance project. You need to also go into an holistic partnership that cuts across every sector of the activity that you have outlined in your project. You wouldn't want to go into a partnership with an organization whose objective only aligns with maybe 2 activities in your project, and midway into your project, you are stranded. So it's good to apply different framework depending on how peculiar the project is. For instance, during Ebola and COVID, the multi-stakeholder approach was widely used. I think almost all countries adopted this sort of partnership, working with citizens, government, private sector, funding organizations to be able to eradicate the Ebola and all health responses and disasters across the world. So I think these models, we should take note of it and look at what worked for us at every point in time. There are times that you might be using ambush. There are times that you'll be using academic institution. For instance, we start at foundation. If you are working on education, how do you relate? How do you seek partnership? And you need to also know that every partnership you are entering into also wants to get value from that partnership. So it shouldn't be one-sided. It should be a win-win situation when you are pushing. So here are some successful models in the African civic tech space that reflects our unique challenges and opportunities in terms of successful models in Africa. For instance, the private-public partnership has been used widely by Ushahidi in terms of crisis mapping, sourcing, and all the likes. And as we all know, Ushahidi started in Kenya as a platform to monitor post-election violence. But today, that has been expanded globally through the PPP model with organizations with funding initiatives, being able to build platforms that are used for mapping crisis issues, allowing citizens to report themselves, and also crowdfunding for data, promoting transparency, and also enabling that there's quick response issues around crisis management and all that. Also, Code for Africa, as CCHub also, is one two organizations that I also know have used the private sector because we work across different practices at CCHub, from our education practice to the Higher Education Institute, so our technology and society practice. So we have different approaches per time, depending on the peculiarity of the project. Also, Leap for Africa, they have a social impact fund and also a learning management platform or system where people can come, upload their courses, and other people come and use it. So like an open source learning platform. And that model has worked because it promotes and assists courses from other people, not necessarily them building it from the scratch. So you can host your course on their platform. So that's another model. Instead of starting from the scratch, you can be a platform that other people leverage to put out their work out. So you need to be sure per time to say, if I build a course, for instance, what partnership do I need to amplify and give visibility to this course for people to begin to, take in the knowledge and access the platform. Open Up in South Africa, in terms of them simplifying budgets and all those other things that has to do with expenditure of government, is also one platform that has worked as a successful model. So I will draw more on CCHub, for instance. In CCHub, for instance, we have different partnership models that have worked for us, cutting across these 6 frameworks that I spoke about. For our education practice, we work more with the education framework. We work more on the education framework for our education practices. For the things that have to do with our investment, because we have venture funds and all that for startups, we work more with private partnership and also multi-stakeholder partnership. For our community project on cybersecurity, governance, and election, it is more targeted to partners across civil society and the corporate tech and community-driven partnership. So we're also forging partnership with organizations. You also need to consider what their corporate social responsibility is. If it's something you can partner with them for. For instance, the funding space is shrinking, but at the same time, there are still funds locally that are available in our countries that most people are not paying attention to. The big corporations, the small corporations, what are the funds that they have kept for corporate social responsibility? Does the focus of that fund align with what I'm doing? So in your mapping, you also need to consider that you need to bring it down granular to ensure that every bit of what you're going to be talking about in that partnership is captured to give you an holistic view of every other thing that you'll be working around in the partnership. So yes, we have all spoken, a lot has been done. Partnership is very, very important. But to build strategic partnership, we all need to play our individual roles as organizations, as individuals. For instance, if you are assigning roles to people in your organization, you need to be clear on who the contact person is, who is responsible for what deliverable, to be sure that that partnership is effective, and at the end of the day, you are achieving the goal that you set out to achieve in the partnership. So I'll move quickly because of time to what are the key benefits of partnership to sustain civic tech solutions. Strategic collaborations are critical, whether we like it or not, in increasing the impact of the work that we are doing as social innovators in the different spaces we find ourselves. Whether we want to expand our reach, we want to encourage more innovation around us, or not. We need to be sure of what this collaboration is going to be bringing to us. For instance, there was a research we worked on, I think 2 years ago now, 2020, which shows that a lot is happening in the civic space, but everyone is working in silos. So also, when you're seeking partnership, you could also seek partnership with people who are working with you on the same kind of solution, because we are very competitive as Africans. We want to be seen, we want to be in the spotlight, but together everyone can achieve more. If you have that mindset, you tend to attract more partnership to yourself because you are open, you are not closed, you are not me, myself, and I. So for you to get good benefit from every partnership, you need to be very vulnerable sometimes with information that you are given. You shouldn't be holding information that makes your partner feel that, oh, this person, I don't think this person is transparent enough. So let's look at the key benefits of partnership to sustain civic tech solution. One, resource mobilization. For instance, if a small startup or a civic tech organization with maybe less than 5 years old, even 10 years old, you need resources to sustain the solution you are building and to continue more work. You need to access funds. Yes, this is where resource mobilization. So strategic partnership helps you to mobilize more resources, whether human resources or financial resources, because sometimes there are projects that really do not need large capital to implement, but large pool of human resources, brainstorming, reworking, redesigning, and creating solutions. Because if you don't get your solution right, you might just be in a bubble thinking your solution is the trending one, whereas maybe that solution is long used maybe 10 years ago in one country. So you need to be able to mobilize resources when you are together in a partnership with somebody. So those are some of the benefits that come with partnership. Also, partnership helps you to promote innovation. What your eyes may not see, the second eye will be able to see it in that partnership. That is where you need to fine-tune, keep fine-tuning your solution to make sure that it is solving a problem. You are not just creating a solution as a civic tech because people are building tools. You are actually solving a critical problem. So promoting innovation, promoting knowledge is one benefit that comes with partnership. It also helps you to sort of scale and become visible with your impact. For instance, for those who are not so early stage, like I said, you might not be out there, but if you partner with a big corporation, for instance, or an organization who has been there for some years before you, they are likely to guide you in the right path. And you are also likely not to make the same mistake they made. And they can give you more visibility in the networks, or they can give you information to say, oh, this event is happening here. I think we should attend and all that, because you are building together. We are working with one mind rather than working in silos. So partnerships that are sustainable are built to enhance scalability and visibility. Also, partnership helps to build trust and validation for your work. If you are working with a partner, when they are outside in a space where you are not, They can vouch for your work. They can talk confidently about what you are doing because they have worked with you and they have seen how competent you are and how committed to the goals and the aspiration of the tool you are building or the solution you are building or the programs and projects you are implementing in community. Another benefit is the fact that it helps to amplify policy and system change. For instance, there is nobody that can change the world. We can all do it together. For instance, we moved from the MDGs to the SDGs. By 2030, another name will come up because as solving a problem, more problems are coming. So it's like it's a circle, whether we like it or not. So you collaborating or partnering with somebody helps to reduce the reliance on a single source of funds as an individual, and also gives you visibility to the policy issues in the space that you may not likely have information to, and also helps you to get your documentation right. For instance, big corporations are more likely to get information faster than small corporations. So when you partner with these people, you are abreast with what is happening in the space and you are able also to make change. Also, partnership helps you to deepen your impact in community and helps to amplify whatever policy issue you are fighting, either with your civic tech solution, your project or your programs, for instance. It also helps you to adapt quickly to change and trends. For instance, when innovations are coming, for instance, you are in a learning community, a community where you can share knowledge, you are able to get information faster. So strategic collaboration are not just only helpful they are not just helpful, but also they are necessary for civic tech organizations to scale and also to have lasting impact in wherever ecosystem they find themselves. So I think I'm pressed for time. These are some of the barriers that we are likely to face if we don't imbibe some of these things and approaches and frameworks that we have talked about. Common barriers to effective partnership: poor communication, lack of trust, misaligned goals, likely to face regulatory issues because of lack of compliance. There's likely going to be power imbalance if you don't communicate well and ensure that everybody is clear to what you have committed to do in the partnership. And also there may also be resistance to change. For instance, this is the way we do things in our organization. We cannot come in and change it. So it is very important that Oh, I'm so sorry about that. We are in Nigeria. Power just went off. Can you still see me?
Yes, Yvonne, we can see you.
All right, thank you very much. So these are some of the factors that we need to manage that could hinder partnership. It can be very, very frustrating if we have partners that are not clear about the partnership we are in with them. We need to communicate clearly to ensure that there is no barrier. For instance, in Africa, we have diverse languages. You need also to be sure of what language is the person I'm partnering with most fluent in. You need to look at language barriers, cultural differences, to sort of avoid misunderstanding, especially when you are drafting a mail. You need to be sensitive to the words that you are using, looking at the different climes and culture that the people that you are dealing with are from. So that's one thing we need to look out for so that we don't fall into that condition. Also, trust is fundamental in every partnership. So ensure that there is no reason for your partner to not trust you. There should not be any reason to make them hesitant about whether they made the wrong decision with partnering with you. Your goals must be very clear in the partnership and ensure that you keep all deliverables to ensure that there is seamless partnership, and also for future partnership, because most of us, we tend to look at the now, forgetting that there is a future partnership that might likely come around as a result of a successful project or partnership, even referrals. So we need to be very conscious of this. We are human beings, we are very competitive in nature. So we need to be sure that we are not being forceful in partnership, but we can, mutually come to a point of agreement to say, this, I think, would work for the partnership, and find a middle ground, especially for organizations who are resistant to change, who have policies that cannot easily be bent, and all that. All right, I think my time is up. Yes, so thank you everyone for listening. I hope you got 1 or 2 lessons from that video to show you how collaboration will work out successful partnership can be built and how everyone can achieve more together rather than working in silos. Thank you all for listening. Over to you, Wiseman.
So much, Yvonne. Wiseman has asked me to just kindly close the session. Thanks, colleagues, for sharing the lessons about collaborating can take us further and how teamwork makes the dream work. It's crucial for success, and partnerships are keen to harnessing teamwork. So thanks a lot, Yvonne, for a very comprehensive and very practical guide around partnership building, especially in terms of the long-term sustainability of the organization. We have been in the background had Fahima, who's been developing a visual summary of the session. I think while Fahima is bringing that up, we can continue to just share in the chat what is coming up for you and anything that you have picked up in general from the session today. Thank you so much, Fahima. Maybe you want to quickly just share about the visual?
Perfect. Thank you, and thanks everyone. So while the whole conversation was going on, I've been listening in the background and creating this visual to kind of capture the conversation that we had today. Starting off with that nexus of tech and activism, which Wiseman set the scene with, and Mohammed, who brought in the Aspiration 6, which is really moving into the human-centered spirit by putting it into the hands of the people, which is why we have the hand and coming up, blossoming into our conversation. We had Ahmed talking about the bigger picture. Yono and Edith both had points about partnering at all levels, access and alignment. And then also a little bit from what we spoke about coming out of the breakaway rooms about the energy that we can have that will blossom and kind of move us forward, this colorful energy when we are partnering to align our goals, to stop gatekeeping, to getting specific will actually be the catalyst for just a lot of energy in the space. So I hope that captures a little bit for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fahima. That's really beautiful. It's great to see another perspective on just the conversation that we're having. I see there's still a lot going on in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and just what has been coming up for you. I think this is just the beginning of the conversation. This is obviously, as Yvonne said in the chat, that partnerships are a cornerstone of the work that we are doing. So this is going to be a continued, relationship that we want to have, especially as a convener of the civic tech community. So we will be sharing the presentation that Yvonne has so kindly gifted us with in the form of the masterclass, but we will also be sharing more of the partnership and collaboration work through the research work that we are also doing as part of the African Union Civic Tech Fund. So yeah, I think you can expect that in your email as a session feedback and to just continue the conversation. Neh has also shared how you can keep in touch via our newsletter. Please do subscribe so that you can find other opportunities, perhaps even for funding and opportunities, but also just where the civic tech community is convening and anything that you need to know to stay up to date. And this recording will also be shared on YouTube, and you can also find CTIN on the links that Sneh has shared.